So here's why what worked back then to get rid of anxiety, panic, and depersonalization realization is not working today. It's because there's a lot more buildup in your nervous system than there was back then. So let's say months ago, years ago, you were able to just move on with your life, or maybe you started to get more sleep or cleaned up your diet or just started to go to the gym more, or maybe you invited in your symptoms versus resisting them, or maybe you started to take some new supplements or this thing or that, and that was enough to calm your nervous system down. Or maybe you don't even really know what you did. You just kind of moved on with your life, and for some reason your anxiety or panic or depersonalization realization just seemed to shut off. But now, months later or years later, the symptoms are back and you're doing the exact same things, but now it's not working, and you're absolutely terrified because that makes you think that there must be something that's broken. But the truth is, this is not reflective of something being broken in your nervous system. It's reflective of the reality that what you did back then worked for your nervous system back then, but your nervous system today is not the same nervous system that it was all those months or years ago. So for example, one of the clients that I just started working with back in 2015 was able to get his depersonalization realization and anxiety to go away, and he really doesn't even know what he did. He says, I started to sleep more, I kind of just moved on with my life, I just didn't think about the symptoms, and that was enough back then. But recently the symptoms came back, and he tried all of those things and it's not working anymore. And he's actually in training to be a commercial pilot, and he has, all of these things that are on the line if he doesn't overcome his symptoms, and he's super stressed out. And he's like, Jordan, like, why was that not enough? Why did it work back then, but it's not working today? And so I asked him the question. I said, okay, well, tell me what's happened between 2015 and today. And he said some very personal things that I'm not going to share for privacy's sake, but let's just say that he lost somebody who was very close to him. He also just had a lot of very stressful things happen. And I said, whenever you went through all of these stressful things, you started to experience something called sensory triggers to add to the already existing sensory triggers, which meant that your nervous system started to go into a state of survival more and more and more. And because you didn't learn how to self-regulate, you didn't learn how to build or release the buildup of tension, adrenaline, and emotion from the body, because you didn't make appropriate lifestyle adjustments, because you didn't get the neuroscience of what was going on to detach fear and shame from symptoms, everything built up again. And everything built up to the point that just moving on with your life and getting more sleep is not enough, because you're dealing with a lot more stress, a lot more fatigue today than you were back in 2015. And because of him getting co-regulation, and because of him starting to have certainty that he's going to beat this, he's already starting to see a reduction of symptoms in just a couple days. That is the power of both co-regulation as well as getting the right neuroscience of what's going on, which is so important to detach fear and shame, but also to make sure that you're actually getting to the root of symptoms.